Welcome to another Technique Taster with Creative Scrapbooker and Cathie Allan. I am here today to share with you one fun card that we're going to have so much fun creating. We're going to make a very quick and wonderful background to showcase this fabulous Unity rubber stamp. It is a 3D stand-up frame, which is so much fun. Hopefully you can see the inside of this because I'm holding it sideways, but it is a gorgeous frame. You could add a message in there that says happy birthday. It could be a birthday card. And you think to yourself, well, how is it going to be as a card? How can you send this to someone? It collapses. So you actually have a card that will collapse that you can send out to somebody. Okay, it does collapse. So there you have it. I've made it so the bottom, my accordion style bottom, tucks into the bottom. Hopefully you guys can see that. So to begin, I'm going to be shooting some measurements out to you, okay? And I have used here Creative Scrapbooker Superstock. It's 130-pound matte cardstock, so really sturdy, great for this style of card. And what I want you to do is cut out a 5 by 10 3/4 inch long piece. You are going to score it at 7, and then every 3/4 of an inch after that for a total of 5 panels. I am going to burnish on the folds. So I'm going to be bringing that bottom piece up on the first fold using my bone folder to crease on every fold. And hopefully you can see that this is the back of the card and this is the bottom of the card. I want to decorate the back of my card here. So rather than try to decorate this, I cut a piece of super stock that fits right on top of that. It's just going to be easier for me to decorate like that. So I have cut, this is a 5 by 7 back. This is just a little smidgen smaller, so it's easier to put in place. To create the background for this card, I am going to be using a pigment ink re-inker. You can use your favorite pigment ink re-inker. And I have a piece of acetate here, just because it's easy to clean off. And you're going to see I'm going to actually print with this as well. So what you're going to do is squeeze your pigment ink re-inker, and I've got about 6 small dots here. You're going to see that pigment ink is very, very thick, so it's holding its shape. This is going to be important. A spray bottle of water, and add some water to that. Here's the important, very expensive tool. Just gonna grab yourself some plastic wrap and smoosh it up. Yes, I love that word, smoosh. So you're gonna smoosh it up, and now we're just going to smoosh that up. And you wanna create a pattern on this. Even though we've mixed it with water, you'll see it's going to hold the shape of that smooshiness on the acetate. So we're going to use what's on here, and we're going to use what's on the acetate. So after you've smooshed, start creating this wonderful abstract, kind of camouflagey background. Isn't that fun? We could just do that, but I got more ideas, so hang on. This is just like no tools. Like, this is so much fun you can do just with stuff that comes out of your kitchen. Okay, now, but look how it held that pattern. I also want to use what's here on there. I might add just a little more water because I want it to just spread out a little bit. So not much, be careful. Can't do it wrong, but it's still holding that pattern. Now you're going to pick that up and you're going to combine it with what's on here already. So here's that background, all dry. It has dried. If you want to dry it really fast, you can turn it upside down and iron it with a hot dry iron, and then you don't have to wait. But we had time. We set this aside, let it dry. I have to finish it. That involves a chisel tip or bullet tip pen. This Mildliner is double-ended from Zebra, and it just happens to match perfectly this background. And just that little bit of definition on that panel simply makes my heart happy. Now I can put it inside my card. Now we have that background affixed to the back of the card. Now we're going to create the front panel and the frame portion of this card. So this panel is 5 inches by 9.5 inches, and you're going to score it at 7 inches so that you're going to end up with a 5 by 7 panel and a 2.5 inch little short panel that we're going to adhere to the back of the card. Once you've got that in front of you, I want you to grab your favorite rectangular die, and I just want you to set it on there. I want you to put it where you want to see it, run it through, and cut it out. So now we have gone from this to this. Here is your scored front panel to your card. This panel gets put in front of the back panel, and all we have to do is tape or glue this back panel and boom, stick it to the back. So now your card looks like this. I want this to be colorized too. So the easiest thing for me to do is to create a frame that goes on top of that one. Now, when you're going to affix this to your front panel, what I want you to know is we want to tuck this very front bottom accordion panel in between the two panels. So when you're gluing or taping, do not put any adhesive on this bottom, and for me it's about at 1/2 inch, bottom 1/2 inch, so that I can get that bottom accordion size panel between the two of them. So you can have adhesive all the way around the opening, but not along that bottom. And you can see we have the base of the card done. Now we're going to add the panel where you're going to add the hanging photo on the inside. We're going to create the piece that creates the hanging panel for our photo. You need to cut a piece of super stock that is 3 3/4 by 7 inches. So 3 3/4 by 7 inches, and then score at 1 inch. And you end up with a piece like this. You need this flap here. The flap is what you attach to the inside of your card. So I've added my adhesive. I am now going to put this in the center of my card on the back. I have just adhered it to the center of that back panel, and look, we have a place to add our photo. But guess what? I wanted to decorate that. So I cut one more panel that is slightly smaller than this panel itself. So just slightly smaller. It is 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. Use that wonderful fast background technique. Add some edging, and we're going to place that on the front just like that. Here we have that decorated panel adhered in between the front frame and the back panel. When you get that panel here, I've made this back panel long enough that when we add some flowers on the inside, it will hold that panel in place, and I will show you that. I also prepared 4 strips that are slightly smaller than each one of these accordion strip panels because the white base was driving me crazy. And so to each one of them, you can see I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of these. and even the bottom accordion panel will be decorated. So there we go. We have our card all decorated and it's ready to have the flowers put on the bottom. So here comes more fun. It's stamping fun with gorgeous red rubber stamps that are perfect for any medium you can think of. Deeply cut red rubber stamps from Unity. I am using this extraordinary stamp set, and it actually has a nice little saying that says you are extraordinary, and it's got a beautiful floral design to it. I have stamped it onto, you guessed it, some Superstock, and I have stamped it on there with my VersaFine pigment ink for fine detail stamp. My personal favorite for so many reasons, but you want to stamp it, and it does take, it's pigment, so it takes a couple of minutes to dry, but seriously, not long. All I want you to do, we're gonna make coloring easy. So here we have it. I've been adding color, and notice, I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just base coating. So I put in my yellow with the Mildliner from Zebra. It's got a nice chisel tip that covers a larger area and a nice fine tip that is nice for fine areas. A great pen, pigment ink. You will love this. I also used the blue Mildliner, and I also used the light pink. And all I did was color like this. Remember when you were a kid and you colored and you just filled in the area? Well, now we don't say that. We say we're base coating. So think of this as your first layer of coloring. Not hard to do. Just go in there and make it green. So now that you have it all base coated in the color you want, we're going to add some very easy shading. I add my shading with my pigment ink stamp pads. And of course, I'm going to use my clear embossing pad to set down a layer, create a slippery layer so that my pigment ink will glide over top. I am going to be using my finger as my favorite applicator. And all I'm doing is patting, pulling this clear ink on top. I have the magenta in the Versacolor pigment ink and a disposable eyeliner brush. Roll it in your stamp pad and add that color. Pick up your Fantastics. This is a very old Fantastic from Sukaniko, and I use it for pink all the time. Can you tell? And it's very old, but now look what it does. You've got it base coated, and you can just pull that pigment ink on top of it to shade so easy. This makes coloring a breeze until every single part of that has been shaded. So on the blue one, I shaded with the royal blue. On the yellow one, I shaded with marigold. And on the green one, I shaded with evergreen. So here we have it. And you can see I cut it out, and I cut it out a little bit creatively. I kind of cut some parts out down here because why not? I get to change up the look of it. And I've attached it to the front of my card, so it completely decorates it. And yes, I added glitter. So I put down glitter glue from Ranger and then sprinkled glitter on top of it. So for a really, really fun look. And then look what I did on the inside. I put some flowers. Hopefully you can see that. I put some flowers on our accordion panels. And that is there for twofold. Number one, it's pretty. But number two, it raises that accordion fold up just that little bit more. It's going to be a little tricky to show you in here. So that first flower, I don't know if you can see it down there, it actually is keeping that the hanging panel from coming forward. Does that, hopefully you can see it up there, how it sits there. And it just, because what I don't want is my hanging panel to sit here. There you go. Hopefully you guys can see that. Such a fun card base to make, so much fun to decorate. And of course, for you scrapbookers, I took those same beautiful techniques and did a 12 by 12 scrapbook layout with it. Look at that background done in blue. It is spectacular and it literally takes minutes. And this rubber stamp is also a stamp from Unity. Here it is, and it's called Funky. Sorry about that, guys. Funky Flowers. Look at the size of it. Oh my God, I love great big stamps. So much fun to play with. So similar to the one we used on the card, but just giant size, which was perfect to embellish my beautiful granddaughter Ryan's photos. That's it for today's Technique Taster. Hope you guys had some fun and happy creating. See you soon. Bye for now.